let's look at streamlining your approach. This is called S.T.I.N.G. I don't know if you've ever heard of S.T.I.N.G, but it helps you get things done. One, it's quite tricky though, I'll be honest with you. S.T.I.N.G needs you to be a little bit organized and let people know that you're going to be using S.T.I.N.G because it will help you achieve the goal. First thing in S, select one task, not more than one, just the one task, whatever that project is. T, time yourself, so allow an allotted time. Normally it's 1 hour, could be anything you need. So if say it's working on a project, I'm going to give it 1 hour of concentrated time and go for it. I, ignore everything else in that period. Nothing else in that time period comes into play. No phone calls, no interruptions, no breaks whatsoever, because N, no break in that time means you don't do anything. You literally ignore all outside influences, except probably a fire alarm, because it would still be going off. Other than that, everything else you've got to keep to. No break, no taking phone calls, having conversations with colleagues, popping out for a coffee, whatever. And G, give yourself a reward when the time is up. So go and get the coffee. Pop out, if you smoke, have a cigarette, or pop out a bit of fresh air, go and get yourself a sandwich. S.T.I.N.G. Select a task, time yourself, ignore everything, no breaks, and give yourself a reward. It's really effective, and you'll find that when you do that, you go, wow, look how much I got done. Because you were focused the whole time. You never had to change gear. Remember we talked about the mental gear changes? This way you can just get work done. Very effective. Yeah? Do you like that, everyone? How many of you in here have to deal with pieces of paper in work? Okay, here's some really good guidelines about how to deal with paper. Now, paper is, by the way, one of the worst things for being effective in time management that there is, because your desks fill up with paper. Now, all of these sheets of paper may have something important on them, or they may be nothing that's important. You don't know. And so they build up, and then you suddenly have to find this piece of paper, fall through it. And before you know it, you're stressed, you're flustered, someone's standing over you. So, I'm going to ask you some questions here, and if the answer to it is yes, you keep it or file it, and if the answer is no, off to the recycling bin with it, or bin. Okay, very simple, it's yes or no. Question number 1, am I going to refer to this piece of paper later? If the answer is yes, you keep it. If the answer is no, laters, as you would say. Good. 2, do I have a digital copy that will suffice? In other words, do I have a copy on the printer? Or even, should I scan it? Keep a copy of the scan and get rid of the original. 3, is it directly for me, or does somebody else have a copy? So are you the only one that has this piece of paper, or is it a memo that everybody else has and you've just got it there? If you get a memo and you read it and you don't need to keep it, straight away, gone. If you get a meeting agenda, once the meeting's happened, gone, unless you're going to need to refer to it later. 4, is it needed for legal reasons? So if this is HR, where there's a copy of somebody's passport that you may need, or a copy of invoices, or whatever it is, signed checks, things like that, that you're going to need, then obviously you're going to have to file it or archive it. But if you don't, number 5, does it fit in my filing system? Now, what I'm talking about here is some people have a predilection for looking after catalogues, books, big folders. You open there, they can get it open because it's stuffed full of oversized pieces of literature. Not necessary. We did this in an office I was working for years and years ago, and we went through everybody, we got everyone to do this, the guideline. But we put in the middle of the room big bins, and we thought we had 6 of these big, they weren't wheelie bins, but they were similar sort of stuff for recycling, all empty. By the time lunchtime came, we'd emptied them twice. That's how much paper and unnecessary paper we had that we got rid of. It was unbelievable. So, lastly, number 6, if I file it, will I be able to file it again? So if your filing system is disorganized or isn't categorized correctly and you can't find anything, what's the point of filing it? Are you just taking the rubbish of unnecessary papers you've got now and putting them in another location for a later day, when one day you're going to have to suddenly think, oh, I do need this piece of paper and I won't know how to find it. So you've got to spend 3 days looking for all the junk. That's also not worth doing. So ask yourself these questions if you need it, and be hard on yourself. Don't keep stuff you don't need. And the same thing can be said for guidelines for keeping documents on your computer. Because whilst the documents are very small in terms of the computer power we've got today, if you've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of documents that are stopping you from finding the ones you really need, you're going to spend time going, and that's not worth it either.